First of all, arrange and import your clips and go to the first clip and click on R on your keyboard to open rotation settings. Take the timeline to half of the first clip and click on the stopwatch button near rotation to apply the first keyframe. Take the timeline to the last part of the first clip and you can increase that value to rotate the clip. You can give any value there. I'm giving a value of 200 to make the transition more smooth. Now you can select both the keyframes and click on F9 on your keyboard to easy ease the keyframes, and you can go to that symbol which is the graph editor. I always use value graph, and when you click that graph button, if you see another graph, right click on your mouse and go to value graph instead of speed graph. You just need to copy my graph because in most transitions we almost use the same graph. Now you should go to the second clip and tap on R again to open rotation and take the timeline to half of the second clip and apply a keyframe there. After that, go to the first part of the second clip and give the negative value in which you gave at the first clip. I gave 200 at the first clip, so I am giving minus 200 at the second, and you should select the keyframes again and ease them, and you should go to the graph editor. As I told you before, we almost use the same graphs in every transition, so copy this graph too. To make the transition more smooth, click on that button to enable motion blur and select motion blur for every clip. You can also see a black gap there during the rotation, and to fill that gap you should go to FX and presets and search for motion tile. Apply motion tile to the first clip and increase the output width and output height to almost 500 and turn on mirror edges to fill the gaps. Apply the same effect to the second clip too to fill the gaps by applying the motion tile into the second clip and increasing the output width and output height and turning on mirror edges. At first, select the first clip and click on S on your keyboard to open scale settings. As we did on the first transition, go to half of the first clip and click on the stopwatch button near the scale to apply the first keyframe and go to the last part and increase the scale button to get a zoom in transition. I am going to give a value of 500, and you should now select the keyframes and ease it and go to the graph editor again. As I told you, we almost use the same graph at every transition, so use the graph which we used at the first again. Take the timeline to half of the second clip, apply a keyframe there and come to the first part of the second clip and decrease the scale value. As you can see now, the clip is small. Then you should ease the keyframes and go to the graph editor and copy this graph. Now again, to fill those black gaps, you should go to motion tile and copy the settings again. After that, don't forget to enable motion blur for every clip. In the preview, you saw a backward pull before the transition. For that, go to the graphs and copy my graph settings. You just need to lower the graph a bit so that the clip first goes inward a bit and then goes out for the zoom transition. Go to half of the first clip and apply a scaling keyframe, and go to the last part of the first clip and decrease the value to 20. Easy is the keyframes, and go to the graph editor and copy the same graph which we did earlier. Apply the motion tile, increase the output width and output height, and turn on mirror adjust to fill the gaps. Now go to the half of the second clip and apply a scaling keyframe, and come to the first part of the second clip and increase the value to almost 500. Easy is the keyframes, go to the graph editor and apply this graph. Go to the first clip and click on P to enable position settings. As a position has got X and Y directions, you should right click on position and click on separate dimensions to separate X and Y directions. For the X transition, go to half of the first clip and apply a keyframe for the X position. Both keyframes will be applied. If you want, you can keep the Y keyframe or else you can delete it. Now you can go to the last part of the first clip and you can slide the value to the right or the left as you wish. If you want, you can keep the Y keyframe or else you can delete it. I'm going to delete it, and just easy is the X keyframes and copy the graphs. You can lower the graph as I said before so that it will have a small pull before the transition. Don't forget to enable motion blur, and when the clip goes right, since it has got a black part, you should also apply motion tile and apply the settings. Now go to the second clip and click on P for the position settings, and you should separate the dimensions and give a keyframe at half of the clip for X position, and come to the first part and let the clip go to the left. Easy is the keyframes, and go to the graph editor and copy this graph. Since the second clip also has a black part, apply motion tiles and apply the settings, and also don't forget to turn on motion blur. You just don't need to apply motion tile and copy the settings every single time. You can go to the first clip and click on that motion tile there and click on Ctrl plus C to copy the same settings, and go to the second clip and Ctrl plus V to apply the same motion tile settings to the second clip too. Go to the first clip and click on P and click on separate dimensions and give a keyframe at half of the clip for Y. A keyframe for X will also be formed, and you can delete it if you don't want it, and go to the last part of the clip and you can either make the clip go up or down. After that, go to the second clip and click on P again and go to separate dimensions and go to half of the clip and get a keyframe there, and go to the first part of the clip and make the clip go down. Easy is the keyframes, and go to the graph editor and copy the graphs again. Since these clips has also got black parts in it, apply motion tile to the first clip and apply the settings, and you can also copy this setting and go to the second clip and paste it instead of applying it again. These are the most simple and basic transitions you can make on After Effects, and if you like the video, do subscribe to the channel, and you can comment the tutorials you want for the next video.